Welcome to Shad's Guitar Show. Whether it's the gear or the players who made the gear famous, this podcast is about all things guitar. Well, hello everyone, and welcome into another episode of Shad's Guitar Show. I'm glad you're joining me for another episode, and today I want to jump into an interesting topic that's become pretty hot lately, and that is AI and its effect on the music industry at large. Now, there's been a ton of conversation about AI-generated music, and a lot of it now is getting very popular, and just basically how that looks for the creation of music and musicians in general. So I wanted to kind of dive into some thoughts about it, sort of dissect it a little, and on this one, I'd really love to have some feedback from you guys. I'd love to have some comments and interaction. Let me know what you think about all this. But yeah, let's have a little bit of a conversation on AI and how it could ultimately be really bad for the music industry. So for most of music history, progress meant new instruments, better recording tools, or new ways to distribute music. Each wave of innovation, electric guitars, multi-track recording, synthesizers, home studios, well, it all expanded what musicians could do. But artificial intelligence is different. It doesn't just help musicians make music. It's increasingly replacing musicians. It imitates their work and extracts value from human creativity without permission, credit, or compensation. Today, we're talking about how AI could be actively harmful to the music industry and why musicians should be paying close attention. So, number one, AI devalues music as human expression. Music has always been powerful because it's human. It reflects struggle, joy, mistakes, obsession, discipline, culture, and identity. When AI can generate songs in seconds, songs with convincing melodies, harmonies, lyrics, and production, it fundamentally changes how music is perceived. When music becomes instant, infinite, effortless, and disposable, its emotional weight collapses. And if all someone has to do is write a prompt that says, create a Back in Black era AC/DC sounding song, the result may sound convincing, but it wasn't lived, earned, or felt. Over time, listeners stop asking who made the music and only ask what vibe it delivers. That shift cheapens music across the board, including music made by real artists. 2. AI trains on musicians without consent. So one of the biggest ethical problems with AI in music is how it's trained. Most generative music models are built using massive databases scraped from recorded music, isolated instrument tracks, songwriters' catalogs, online demos, and stems. In most cases actually, in probably all cases, artists were not asked, they weren't paid, and they weren't credited. This means AI systems are effectively learning from musicians' labor without compensation, then competing against them in the marketplace. Imagine a world where your guitar style, your chord voicings, your tone choices, your songwriting fingerprints are absorbed into an AI model and then sold back to the industry as a tool. That's not collaboration, that's extraction. Number 3, AI accelerates the race to the bottom. The music industry already struggles with low payouts, oversaturation, and shrinking attention spans. AI just accelerates all of it. When platforms can flood the market with AI-generated background music, AI playlists, and AI artists, I say in air quotes, with no overhead, human musicians are forced to compete with zero-cost, infinite content. Why pay a composer for a TV cue when AI can generate 1,000 variations almost instantly? Why license a band when a prompt can create something close enough? The result, lower wages, fewer opportunities, less leverage for musicians. AI doesn't reduce the value of individual songs. It reduces the value of being a musician. Number 4, AI encourages imitation, not innovation. AI works by predicting patterns based on what already exists. That means it inherently rewards familiarity, recycles established styles, and smooths out the rough edges. The danger isn't that AI will create something radically new. The danger is that it will flood culture with endless variations of the past. Instead of encouraging risk, AI encourages genre cliches, algorithm friendly sameness, and style cloning. Innovation in music usually comes from misuse of gear, personal limitations, cultural friction, and happy accidents. AI eliminates those frictions, and with them, much of what drives new music movements. 5. AI undermines musical skill and craft. Learning to play an instrument takes time. There's finger pain, repetition, failure, ear training, taste development. AI shortcuts the entire process, and when people can generate songs without learning harmony, create performances without practicing, release tracks without understanding production, the incentive to actually learn the craft disappears. And over time, that leads to fewer skilled instrumentalists, fewer distinctive voices, and less depth in musical culture. Music risks becoming a surface level aesthetic instead of a practiced art. And 6, AI shifts power away from artists. And this is perhaps the biggest issue: control. AI in music isn't being driven by musicians. It's being driven by tech companies, platforms, data aggregators, and these entities decide what models are trained on, who gets paid, if anyone, how music is distributed, and what success looks like. So actual musicians become content providers at best and training data at worst. The more AI mediates music creation, the less agency artists have over their own work, identity, and future. AI is often framed as just a tool, but tools don't shape behavior, incentives, and culture. If AI continues unchecked in music, we risk devaluing human creativity, erasing artistic labor, replacing musicians with simulations, and turning music into background noise generated by algorithms. So the question isn't whether AI can make music. The real question is, what kind of music culture do we want to live in? One built on human stories and skill and risk? So if music matters to you, if you believe it's more than just content, you should care about how AI is shaping the industry right now. Because once creativity is automated, it's very hard to get it back. So how can we as musicians fight back? The reality is AI isn't going away, but that doesn't mean musicians are powerless. What we can do is shape how music survives and what still matters. We can double down on being human. AI can imitate a style, but it can't replace lived experience. So as musicians, we need to lean into what machines can't do. The imperfection, personality, risk, story, physical presence. Live performance matters more than ever, and we have to support it. Real instruments matter more than ever. The human side of music matters more than ever. The future of music isn't perfect, but it is authentic. We need to support and protect human-made music. Musicians and listeners can both make intentional choices. Support artists who clearly create their own work. Buy records, buy merch, buy tickets to shows, and not just stream. Credit players and writers and engineers publicly. We need to rebuild a culture that values who made the music, not just how it sounds. Because if audiences care, the industry follows. We need to push for consent, credit, and compensation. AI doesn't need to disappear, but it must be regulated. Musicians should demand opt-in training, not opt-out, transparent databases, royalties when work is used to train models, and legal protection for artistic identity and style. This isn't anti-innovation, it's basic labor rights. Music has always been regulated, from copyright law to performance royalties, and AI should be no different. Build communities instead of algorithms. Algorithms thrive on anonymity. Musicians thrive on connection. Artists should focus on local scenes, niche audiences, direct-to-fan relationships, podcasts, newsletters, and small platforms. 1,000 real fans are worth more than 1 million passive streams. AI floods the top of the funnel, but community keeps artists alive. Teach the craft to the next generation, and I think this is a huge one. One of the best ways to fight back is education. If young musicians learn instruments, study records, understand tone, theory, harmony, and history of music, they'll recognize the difference between real music and synthetic music. We don't preserve music by hiding from technology. We preserve it by passing the craft forward. And 6, use AI carefully without letting it replace you. AI doesn't have to be the enemy, but it must stay in its place. Use AI as a scheduling tool, a transcription assistant, a rough idea generator. And that's very different from letting it write your songs, perform your parts, replace your voice. Musicians should control the tool, not become dependent on it. So, ultimately, music has survived industrialization, corporatization, streaming, automation. It survives because humans need it. Not content, not vibes, not background noise. AI may change the industry, but it doesn't get to decide what music is. And that part is still up to us. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with a friend. And if you're not following me on social media, please follow me on Instagram at Shad's Guitar Show and subscribe at Shad's Guitar Show on YouTube. As a community, we can keep music alive. And remember, the best music is created by real musicians.